The story of Eyes Closed by Jisoo and Zayn Malik is one of unexpected magic, a union of two voices from different worlds, blending emotion, artistry, and vulnerability into one breathtaking experience that has captivated fans around the globe. The collaboration between Jisoo, the elegant and emotive member of Blackpink, and Zayn Malik, the soulful former member of One Direction turned introspective solo artist, created a song that feels like a cinematic journey through the heart, tender, haunting, and beautifully human. Released on October 10th, 2025, Eyes Closed marks Jisoo's first full English language release, a bold artistic leap that signaled her evolution from K-pop royalty into a global solo powerhouse. Zayn, known for his moody, atmospheric sound, brought depth and intimacy, his voice intertwining with Jisoo's crystalline tone, to form a duet that feels less like a performance and more like two souls whispering across the stars. The song opens gently. Soft piano chords and a faint hum of synthesizers fill the silence before Jisoo's delicate vocals emerge, setting the emotional tone of longing and hesitation. Her voice carries the weight of someone rediscovering love after pain, fragile yet brave. Then Zayn enters, his deep, textured voice wrapping around hers like a warm embrace, and suddenly two worlds meet, East and West, K-pop and British soul, modernity and nostalgia. Together, they tell a story of two people learning to love again, despite the ghosts of their pasts, choosing vulnerability over fear, passion over pride. The lyrics, "We should fall in love with our eyes closed. Better if we keep it where we don't know," serve as the emotional thesis of the song. A reminder that true love isn't about knowing someone's past, but about trusting the connection in the present. The production, handled by a team of global producers, perfectly complements the narrative. A blend of acoustic guitar, ambient textures, and slow-burning bass that builds toward a celestial crescendo. The bridge, where Jisoo and Zayn harmonize in layered vocals, feels like a confession under starlight, intimate yet infinite. The result is a soundscape that's both cinematic and personal, evoking the atmosphere of a late-night drive through an endless city, eyes closed, hearts open. It's a track that invites listeners not just to hear, but to feel. The music video elevates the story to a higher dimension, quite literally. Set in a futuristic, interstellar environment, Jisoo and Zayn are portrayed as two souls drifting through space, separated by galaxies yet drawn together by gravity. The imagery of zero gravity, starlit corridors, and cosmic journeys symbolizes love's timeless nature, its power to defy boundaries of distance and memory. Jisoo floats through the void, her reflection shimmering across glass walls, while Zayn drifts in another part of the ship, until, at last, they meet, suspended in light. As Saturn looms in the background, they clasp hands, symbolizing connection beyond logic, a bond that transcends everything the universe could throw at them. Critics and fans alike have praised Eyes Closed for its emotional depth and delicate balance between the two artists' worlds. Reviewers noted how the song merges Zayn's R&B soul influence with Jisoo's graceful vocal clarity, creating a sound that feels both contemporary and timeless. Some called it the most beautiful East-West collaboration in years, while others described it as a love letter sung in two hearts' languages. The chemistry between the two artists feels natural, not forced or manufactured, as though their voices were destined to meet. Fans celebrated the release online, flooding social media with edits, fan art, and emotional reactions, many commenting that the song felt like a lullaby for the brokenhearted. Beyond its musical beauty, Eyes Closed represents something much larger, the continuing global unification of music culture. For Jisoo, this song marks a new chapter in her artistry, stepping beyond K-pop's familiar boundaries into international storytelling. It proves her vocal and emotional versatility, as she moves effortlessly between languages and genres while maintaining her authenticity. For Zayn, the collaboration reaffirms his creative rebirth, reminding the world of his emotional sincerity and artistic fearlessness. Together, they bridge continents, showing that music's truest language is emotion itself. The impact of Eyes Closed extends beyond charts and streams. It has been hailed as a cultural milestone in the ongoing evolution of global pop, proof that collaboration between artists of different origins can create something transcendent. It also stands as a message about healing, about learning to love again after pain, to trust again after heartbreak, to close your eyes not in fear, but in faith. In a world often defined by differences, Eyes Closed is a rare moment of unity. Two voices, one emotion, infinite resonance. As the final chorus fades, the music video ends with a quiet shot of Jisoo and Zayn looking out a window into the cosmos, their reflections merging with the stars. The screen fades to black and the words appear. Love is not what we see, it's what we feel. Eyes closed. It's a fitting ending to a masterpiece that reminds us that love, like music, exists beyond sight, beyond distance, and beyond fear. In the years to come, Eyes Closed will likely be remembered not only as a song, but as a statement, a symbol of how modern music has evolved into something boundless, where emotion connects us more deeply than words ever could. It's the sound of two artists at their peak, daring to be vulnerable and inviting the world to do the same. Whether played in the quiet of night or across stadium speakers, Eyes Closed remains the kind of song that touches something eternal. The kind that lives not in the mind, but in the heart. The making of Eyes Closed is as fascinating and emotional as the song itself, a behind-the-scenes story of two artists from opposite sides of the world coming together to create something intimate, sincere, and universal. It all began in early 2025, when a senior producer from RCA Records, who had worked with Zayn since his Nobody Is Listening era, met with YG Entertainment's global division to discuss potential collaborations between Western and Asian pop artists. Jisoo, who had just concluded her Flower era and was preparing for her first English-language recording, was immediately suggested. Zayn's name surfaced naturally, not because of marketing, but because both artists shared similar artistic energy, introspective, understated, and deeply emotional. Their voices, though distinct, carried the same kind of raw fragility that could turn a song into a confession. When Zayn first heard the demo of Eyes Closed, he was reportedly moved by its simplicity. The original concept, written by a small team of lyricists in London, revolved around the idea of loving without judgment, of seeing with the heart rather than the eyes. The line, "We should fall in love with our eyes closed," struck him immediately. He agreed to the collaboration within days, saying, "It's a message about trust and vulnerability, and that's what I've been trying to rediscover in my music." Meanwhile, Jisoo, who had just finished filming her latest fashion campaign in Paris, recorded her vocals at YG's Seoul studio. When she heard Zayn's initial version, she was reportedly silent for several minutes before saying softly, "It feels like he's singing from another world." Their recording sessions were mostly remote, Zayn working from his private studio in Pennsylvania, Jisoo recording her harmonies and ad-libs in Seoul. Yet, despite the distance, their chemistry was instant. According to the producers, Jisoo and Zayn would exchange long voice notes, discussing tone, emotion, and phrasing. Zayn suggested subtle changes to make the song more conversational, while Jisoo brought in her unique melodic sensibility, refining the rhythm of each lyric to fit her delicate vocal color. The result was a duet that sounded effortless, as though they had recorded together in the same room, gazing into each other's eyes. The creative process wasn't without challenges. Translating emotional nuance between English and Korean sensibilities required precision. Jisoo's team worked to ensure that every word she sang carried both meaning and emotion, avoiding stiffness while maintaining her natural accent. Zayn, on the other hand, adapted his vocal phrasing to create space for her tone, softening his delivery to match her ethereal lightness. The final mix is a delicate dance between voices, not a competition, but a communion. The music video, directed by Han Sa-min, known for his work on Blackpink's Kill This Love, was shot across two continents, Zayn's sequences in London and Jisoo's in Seoul. The cosmic theme was inspired by the concept of love as gravity. The director explained, "We wanted to show how love can pull two souls together, even if they exist in different universes." Every frame of the video is symbolic. Jisoo drifting through glass corridors representing vulnerability, Zayn navigating through collapsing stars symbolizing emotional chaos. When they finally meet near the film's climax, the glowing white light represents the moment of trust. When love transcends pain. Fans noticed how the visuals subtly reference both artists' personal journeys. Jisoo's scenes feature cherry blossoms floating through the ship, a nod to her Korean roots and her solo debut, while Zayn's sequences include a black feather, representing the freedom and isolation that have defined his career. The ending scene, where they look out into the stars with their reflections merging, encapsulates the message: love doesn't erase scars, but it helps you see beauty through them. When the song was released, it instantly topped charts in over 30 countries. It debuted at #1 on Spotify's Global Top 50 and reached #2 on Billboard's Hot 100 within its first week. Critics praised it as one of the most emotionally sophisticated collaborations of the decade. Rolling Stone called it a haunting love story told through sound, while NME described it as a moment of calm in an era of noise. Fans flooded social media with emotional reactions, many saying they cried upon hearing it for the first time. The song's lyric video reached 10 million views within 24 hours, while the official music video crossed 100 million views within the first week, making it the fastest duet to reach that milestone in 2025. Behind the scenes, the connection between Jisoo and Zayn grew through respect and shared vulnerability. In interviews, both spoke fondly of the experience. Jisoo said, "It wasn't about two famous people making a song. It was about two artists sharing one feeling: love without fear." Zayn echoed this sentiment, saying, "She has this quiet power. You don't hear it at first, but then it hits you. Her voice, her emotion, it's pure." Fans began calling them the star and the shadow, referencing Jisoo's light-like presence and Zayn's darker, introspective aura. The live performance at the 2025 NET Asian Music Awards became one of the most iconic moments in modern pop history. The stage opened with a holographic projection of a galaxy slowly expanding, with Jisoo standing on one side of the stage dressed in white and Zayn on the other in black. As they sang the chorus together, the digital stars aligned between them, forming a glowing bridge of light, a breathtaking metaphor for unity through love. When they finished, the crowd erupted into tears and cheers. Critics described it as a performance that froze time. More than just a collaboration, Eyes Closed became a symbol of what music can achieve: connection beyond culture, beyond industry, beyond fear. It bridged two massive fan bases and reminded the world that at its core, music is about feeling. For Jisoo, it proved her ability to transcend genres and languages, marking her as one of the most versatile artists of her generation. For Zayn, it reaffirmed his place as a storyteller who sings from the soul. Together, they didn't just create a hit song, they crafted an emotional universe where love, loss, and hope coexist in perfect harmony. The legacy of Eyes Closed began almost immediately after its release, rippling through the global music scene in ways neither Jisoo nor Zayn fully anticipated. What started as a single song transformed into a cultural moment, a symbol of artistic courage, emotional honesty, and international unity. Music critics began referring to it as the bridge song, a poetic metaphor for how it connected two worlds: the Western R&B soundscape and the emotional elegance of K-pop balladry. More than that, it represented a new kind of collaboration, one not built on hype or metrics, but on genuine creative chemistry and shared vulnerability. Within weeks of its release, Eyes Closed became a recurring topic in entertainment think pieces. Billboard wrote an editorial titled "When East Meets West with Heart," describing the track as a watershed moment for global pop, proving that sincerity can outperform spectacle. The Guardian praised the duet for its restraint, saying, "In an industry obsessed with loudness, Jisoo and Zayn whisper and the world listens." That whisper, echoing through streaming platforms and social media, became the anthem of a generation longing for something pure in an increasingly digital, detached world. The song's cultural reach went far beyond the charts. It inspired thousands of covers on TikTok and YouTube, from pianists and orchestral renditions to dance interpretations that visually depicted seeing love without sight. In South Korea, fans praised Jisoo for her evolution, calling this project her emotional renaissance. Meanwhile, Western listeners who were new to K-pop discovered her artistry for the first time. The collaboration even prompted university music departments in Seoul, London, and Los Angeles to include Eyes Closed in their lectures, analyzing its minimalist production and bilingual storytelling as a case study in cross-cultural emotional translation. At the same time, YG Entertainment and RCA Records saw the track as more than just a hit. It was a proof of concept. The partnership showed that when artistry is prioritized over commercialism, magic happens. Instead of forcing English lyrics onto a K-pop singer or inserting token phrases from different cultures, the song treated both artists as equals. Zayn's deep, soulful tone met Jisoo's crystalline clarity in perfect equilibrium. Their musical chemistry broke boundaries without even trying, setting a new gold standard for cross-continental collaborations. In interviews months later, both artists reflected on how deeply the project affected them personally. Jisoo said in one interview with Vogue Korea, "It changed how I understand music. I realized that feelings sound the same in any language." Zayn, speaking to GQ, shared, "It reminded me of why I started singing. Not for fame, but for the feeling of connection." Those words resonated across fan communities. Both Blinks and Z stans began posting side-by-side lyric analyses, connecting lines from Eyes Closed to each artist's past songs, like Flower and Pillow Talk, discovering a shared thread of longing and self-discovery. As the months went by, Eyes Closed accumulated a wave of achievements that even industry veterans called historic. It became the most streamed duet of 2025, surpassed 1 billion views on YouTube within 6 months, and earned platinum certifications in 12 countries. It also won Best Collaboration at the MTV Europe Music Awards, Song of the Year at the Mnet Asian Music Awards, and was even nominated for Record of the Year at the Grammys, marking the first ever Korean English duet to receive such recognition. During that Grammys night, when Zayn and Jisoo stood side by side, both visibly emotional as the audience gave them a standing ovation, it became clear that Eyes Closed had already transcended awards. It had entered history. Beyond accolades, the song's emotional resonance began influencing other artists. Several prominent Western musicians started exploring deeper partnerships with Korean producers and vocalists. Artists like Billie Eilish, Sam Smith, and Rosé, Jisoo's bandmate, publicly praised the track for its vulnerability and restraint. Even BTS's Jungkook mentioned in a live stream that the song hits you like a memory you forgot you had. Producers around the world began to analyze its sound design, the delicate layering of synths, the muted heartbeat bass, and the way silence was used as rhythm, redefining how emotional pop could be produced. The live renditions of Eyes Closed only deepened its legend. During Zayn's Whispers tour and Jisoo's Bloom Again fan concert, they occasionally performed the song separately, each version uniquely powerful. But when they reunited at Coachella 2026, the world stood still. It was nightfall in the desert. The lights dimmed, and the first piano notes echoed under the stars. When Jisoo's voice floated across the crowd and Zayn emerged from the shadows to join her on stage, thousands of fans wept openly. Their harmony under the moonlit sky wasn't just performance, it was catharsis. By the time Eyes Closed celebrated its 1-year anniversary, it was no longer just a song. It had become an emotional archive. People played it at weddings, memorials, breakups, and late-night drives. Fans described it as the soundtrack to both healing and heartbreak. It appeared in countless cinematic edits, inspiring short films, fashion campaigns, and even a Netflix drama that used the song in its finale. The phrase "with our eyes closed" turned into a global idiom, used in poetry, captions, and tattoos, a quiet reminder to love with trust, not fear. And yet, perhaps the most profound impact of Eyes Closed lies in what it represents for the future of music. It blurred the borders of language, race, and genre, showing that authenticity resonates louder than any marketing strategy. It proved that the world doesn't need louder songs, it needs truer ones. It redefined what collaboration could mean in an era where the internet often divides more than it connects. Through Jisoo and Zayn's vulnerability, the world remembered that art isn't about perfection. It's about emotion, sincerity, and courage. In the years that followed, Eyes Closed would continue to inspire both fans and artists. It remains a timeless duet, one that future generations will revisit not just for its beauty, but for its message. That even in a fractured world, love can still find a voice, even when sung with eyes closed. Understood. let's stay grounded in the present era of the collaboration, focusing only on the impact, creation, and cultural significance surrounding Jisoo and Zayn's Eyes Closed without projecting into the future. When Eyes Closed was released, the music world seemed to pause for a moment. It wasn't just another single, it was an event. The meeting of two artists who came from vastly different backgrounds, but shared the same emotional wavelength. The creation of the song was as organic as it was daring. It started quietly, with Zayn's team reaching out to YG Entertainment after hearing Jisoo's solo song Flower and being captivated by her tone, soft yet commanding, vulnerable yet pure. Zayn reportedly told producers, "She sings like she's remembering something she never said out loud." That comment set the tone for what would become Eyes Closed, a dialogue between two souls speaking through melody. The collaboration began during a writing camp in Los Angeles, where both artists met for the first time. The atmosphere in the studio was described as calm, almost sacred. There were no large entourages, no cameras flashing, just two musicians exploring sound and emotion. Jisoo came prepared with notebooks filled with lyrical ideas, while Zayn brought rough sketches of melodies that would later form the backbone of the song. One of the producers recalled, "They didn't talk much at first. They just sat in front of the mic and started humming together, and everyone in the room felt something click." That was the birth of Eyes Closed. The songwriting process was deeply personal. Jisoo wrote parts of her verse based on her reflections about love and loss, not just romantic love, but the kind that fades with time and distance. Zayn, in turn, wrote about fear, the fear of opening up again after being hurt. The line, "We should fall in love with our eyes closed," emerged during a late-night recording session when Jisoo softly murmured the phrase while experimenting with English lyrics. Zayn paused, looked at her, and said, "That's it. That's the whole story." They built the song around that single idea, to love without sight, to trust without proof, to connect beyond what is seen. Musically, Eyes Closed stood apart from most mainstream pop of its time. It didn't rely on heavy beats or explosive choruses. Instead, it unfolded slowly, with airy synths, warm acoustic guitar, and the sound of a heartbeat subtly layered beneath the track. The arrangement gave space for emotion to breathe, allowing both voices to shine individually before merging in the chorus like two threads weaving into one. Critics praised its restraint, calling it a masterclass in emotional minimalism. The absence of spectacle became its power. When the song dropped, it instantly became a global conversation. Social media lit up with clips of fans reacting to the harmony between Jisoo and Zayn. Listeners across continents were struck by the intimacy of their delivery, how it sounded less like a duet and more like a private exchange between two people who understood each other completely. The music video added another layer of meaning. It portrayed Jisoo and Zayn as two celestial wanderers drifting through cosmic ruins, separated by light years but connected by sound. The visuals were rich with symbolism, mirrors, stars, and fleeting silhouettes, all echoing the theme of unseen connection. What made Eyes Closed truly special wasn't just its emotional pull, but the message it carried. It arrived at a time when music was increasingly dominated by algorithms and virality. In contrast, this collaboration reminded the industry that authenticity still mattered, that sincerity could still move millions. It was a moment of stillness amid the noise. Zayn's soulful vulnerability met Jisoo's graceful calm, and together they created something timeless. Not by chasing trends, but by trusting emotion. The response from critics and audiences alike was overwhelmingly positive. Rolling Stone described it as a haunting whisper of a song that says more in silence than most tracks say in sound. Billboard hailed it as one of the most emotionally intelligent collaborations of the decade. Fans flooded comment sections with personal stories of healing and connection. Many wrote about listening to the song during difficult times, describing it as a song that understands without asking. Within weeks, Eyes Closed topped charts in over 50 countries and shattered streaming records for a cross-genre collaboration. Jisoo and Zayn both handled the success with quiet grace. In interviews, they avoided focusing on numbers or achievements, speaking instead about emotion and mutual respect. Jisoo said in one interview, "When I sing this song, I think of how love feels when you stop being afraid." Zayn added, "It's about trust, not just in someone else, but in yourself." Their humility only deepened the world's affection for them. Fans admired how the two never treated the song as a spectacle, but as an experience, something meant to be felt, not consumed. Behind the scenes, producers later revealed that much of what listeners hear in Eyes Closed was recorded in one take. The vulnerability in their voices, the cracks, the quiet breaths, the pauses, were left untouched intentionally. The team wanted to preserve the humanity in the performance. That decision became symbolic of what the song represented: imperfection as beauty, simplicity as power. As the song continued to dominate airwaves, something profound happened in the fan communities. Instead of rivalry between fandoms, Eyes Closed created unity. Blinks and Z-Stans collaborated to trend positive hashtags, share covers, and even host virtual listening parties that crossed cultural lines. It was more than fandom. It became a shared emotional space. People from different parts of the world who didn't even speak the same language were suddenly writing, creating, and connecting because of this one song. That is the kind of cultural impact few collaborations ever achieve. The media also took note of what Eyes Closed symbolized for K-pop and Western pop relations. Instead of one culture adapting to another, this was a partnership of equals. Both sides meeting halfway artistically. It wasn't Zayn featuring a K-pop star, nor Jisoo featuring an English artist. It was simply two musicians creating something universal. In that sense, Eyes Closed became a quiet revolution, the blueprint for what true global collaboration could look like. At its core, though, what made the song immortal wasn't its reach or record-breaking success. It was its heart. It reminded listeners of something essential: that love, trust, and connection don't require perfection or clarity. They just require courage. As Jisoo once said during a live performance introduction, "Sometimes we see too much, think too much, fear too much. But when we close our eyes, we finally listen." And in that stillness, that moment where sound and silence meet, Eyes Closed found its place in history. Not as a loud revolution, but as a quiet one. Not as a fleeting hit, but as a living emotion. A song that whispered to millions. The making of Eyes Closed was more than a studio project. It was an emotional journey for everyone involved. Producers described the recording process as therapeutic, especially because both Zayn and Jisoo approached the song not as superstars, but as storytellers searching for truth. The sessions were deliberately kept intimate: low lighting, candles burning, soft conversations between takes. The team avoided the usual heavy production equipment that could distract from the emotion. Instead, they focused on atmosphere, creating a space where both artists could feel the music rather than just perform it. Jisoo, known for her precision and discipline, surprised the engineers with her willingness to experiment vocally. She tried singing lines in both Korean and English, finding nuances in tone that made her voice melt into Zayn's seamlessly. Zayn, who often prefers isolation when recording, was drawn to Jisoo's quiet energy. It grounded him and allowed his voice to soften naturally. One of the most striking parts of the production was the decision to keep the soundscape minimal. The producers layered a delicate heartbeat rhythm, recorded from Zayn tapping his chest, as a subtle percussion line. It's barely audible, but it gives the song its pulse. Meanwhile, Jisoo's vocal reverb was adjusted to feel like an echo in a dream, fading just a fraction of a second later than Zayn's, symbolizing emotional distance between two lovers still trying to connect. These small creative details turned Eyes Closed into something cinematic, even without a film. When the music video was filmed, director Dave Meyers envisioned something poetic rather than literal. Instead of a narrative about two lovers, he crafted a visual metaphor: two souls wandering through parallel dimensions, separated by glass, smoke, and light. Filmed across 3 countries, South Korea, the UK, and Iceland, the video captured nature's raw beauty to reflect the isolation and longing in the song. The scenes of Jisoo standing barefoot on a frozen lake, eyes closed, contrasted with Zayn's imagery of walking through a dimly lit room filled with old photographs and flickering candles. The symbolism was powerful. She represents emotional clarity, he represents reflection, and both are trapped within their memories. Critics and fans alike praised the video's emotional depth. Cinematographers used a special filter to blur the edges of the frame, giving the illusion that the audience, too, was viewing the story with their eyes closed. Hazy, intimate, and deeply human. Every visual detail felt intentional. Mirrors represented self-awareness, fog symbolized uncertainty, and the recurring motif of light breaking through darkness mirrored the song's message of hope in vulnerability. Live performances of Eyes Closed became moments of collective silence. When Jisoo and Zayn performed the song together for the first time at an award show, the entire venue seemed to hold its breath. There were no flashy pyrotechnics, no backup dancers, just two artists standing opposite each other under a single beam of white light. Their chemistry was palpable, but it wasn't romantic spectacle. It was emotional honesty. The performance ended with the lights dimming as they both closed their eyes on the final note, a perfect embodiment of the song's core message. That moment was replayed millions of times online, hailed as one of the most hauntingly beautiful live duets of the decade. The success of Eyes Closed rippled far beyond the charts. It opened new conversations in both the Western and K-pop music industries about the nature of collaboration. It wasn't about marketing synergy, it was about artistic synergy. The track blurred boundaries between languages and genres, proving that emotion is universal. K-pop fans admired how Zayn respected Jisoo's artistry without overshadowing her, while Western audiences praised Jisoo for her calm yet powerful presence that matched Zayn's intensity note for note. The collaboration became an emblem of cultural respect, not one artist adapting to another, but two worlds blending effortlessly. In interviews following its release, the creative team revealed that both Jisoo and Zayn had deep personal attachments to the song. Zayn described Eyes Closed as the sound of healing, while Jisoo called it a song about seeing with the heart. Their words resonated with fans who found comfort in the track's honesty. Online forums and fan spaces became filled with essays, art, and letters inspired by the song. Many fans shared how it helped them navigate loss, heartbreak, or self-doubt. It became more than music. It became a sanctuary for listeners. The impact of Eyes Closed extended into pop culture as well. The song influenced fashion editorials, film trailers, and even stage performances by other artists who drew inspiration from its quiet intensity. Brands used its ethereal sound in advertisements, symbolizing serenity and emotional rebirth. Meanwhile, other musicians cited it as a reminder that minimalism and sincerity could still triumph in a world dominated by high-energy anthems. For YG Entertainment, Eyes Closed was a milestone, proof that Jisoo had evolved into a fully realized global artist, capable of crossing borders without losing her identity. For Zayn, it marked a return to the emotional authenticity that first defined his solo career. And for music as a whole, it was a statement that collaboration could still be an act of art rather than commerce. In the end, what made Eyes Closed unforgettable was its honesty. It wasn't trying to impress. It was trying to connect. Every lyric, every breath, every quiet pause carried the weight of two artists daring to be vulnerable in front of the world. In an age of noise, Eyes Closed reminded everyone of the power of silence. And in that silence, millions found their voice. The release of Eyes Closed marked a rare phenomenon in modern music, a moment when artistry, vulnerability, and global connection aligned perfectly. As the song continued to climb charts and dominate streaming platforms, the reaction from both fans and critics transcended the typical excitement of a pop release. It wasn't just about numbers or records, it was about feeling. Across social media, people described listening to Eyes Closed as a cinematic experience, an emotional confession, and even a mirror to the soul. The emotional resonance was so deep that many listeners said the song made them reflect on lost connections, personal growth, and the quiet moments between heartbreak and healing. Music critics from around the world took notice of what made Eyes Closed so extraordinary. In detailed reviews, publications like The Guardian and Rolling Stone Korea highlighted its emotional restraint and minimalistic power. The Guardian called it a modern classic of intimacy, praising the way both artists used silence and space as musical instruments. Pitchfork described the track as a song that understands the poetry of absence, referring to the delicate pauses between Jisoo's and Zayn's lines that felt like unspoken dialogue. Critics were particularly impressed by how both singers conveyed profound emotion without resorting to vocal theatrics. Their delivery felt deeply human, almost conversational. It was that sincerity that turned Eyes Closed into a cultural touchstone rather than just a pop ballad. Industry peers also reacted with admiration. Fellow artists from both the K-pop and Western pop scenes expressed how the collaboration inspired them to seek deeper creative authenticity. Producers praised the track's engineering, its organic production, and the rawness of the vocal mix, calling it a rare example of how less can truly mean more. Veteran Korean producer Teddy Park, known for shaping Blackpink's sound, mentioned in an interview that Eyes Closed reminded everyone what happens when two voices trust each other. Meanwhile, Zayn's longtime collaborator Malay revealed that they intentionally left imperfections in the recording: a trembling breath, a soft crack in Jisoo's tone, a delayed note from Zayn. Because those human moments were the heart of the song.